He'll record us. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Well, I just want to say welcome, everybody. Wow, it's been a fast start to 2023, and there's so many cool things going on at the club, and I'm just kind of anxious to hear everybody's updates. We've had the ride calendar seems to be packed, and we were able to get Tyler to become our vice president, and somehow Phil and I convinced him that part of his duties is to do the ride coordinating. So we've gone through some training. What was that, a week or so ago? With him, so he's gonna help. I won't disappear. Phil and I won't disappear from his life, but he's going to help us keep up the calendar and do the ride coordinating. And Phil's got some thoughts on that too. So it's been busy, and it's all good. It seems like we're getting a lot of participation in our rides, and there sure are a lot of options out there for our riders. So pretty exciting time. So anybody have anything else they want to talk about in an introduction before we moved on to the club business? Okay. Well, I just kind of talked about some of it. I put the future dates on here. I think these are all dates we said that we'd be meeting again. And I think the November date I put TBD because it may coincide with our year-end annual meeting. So once we figure that out, that's probably that date. And then I just mentioned about the ride coordinator position, and unless anybody objects, well, we've got Tyler is going to give it a crack with the support of myself and of course Phil and Mr. Culpepper in case things get out of control with Club Express. So unless anybody objects to that, that's kind of what we're going to do. So moving on to the budget, I reviewed it. Did everybody get a chance to see what Tony published? I think it's on the on our is it on our server or whatever that is that we store our documents on?
I think I need to transfer it to the server. Tony emailed it to me. I'll put it up in this month's meeting folder.
Yeah, I was on the shared drive earlier and it wasn't there.
Well, I will read what he sent to everybody, but he has a 3-page financial summary. I've got some questions about dates that he's got listed because they say 2022 and I think they're supposed to be 2023, but the summary that he attached is effective as the end of February. And one of his comments on, I think he's been working with Beth on a tracking sheet for the 2023 tour to Blueberry activity, trying to keep track of how many people sign up and when and where we stand. I think Beth is going to give a recap of that, but the sign up seems to be going very well. He said at the end of February, adjusted bank balance is $35,903. And they said this represents a year-to-date increase of $6,000 driven by early registrations for Tour to Blueberry. So I think the Tour to Blueberry sign up has been going well. Hey, Tyler, how are you? The club's operating expenses are tracking along the budget, and I think the big expense so far was just the insurance premium that he paid. He's anticipating that our cash on hand will continue to increase through May as a result of Tour to Blueberry registrations. And then he said, he expects in June to have a major expenditure, and he's listed approximately $24,000 to fund the tour to Blueberry. So we'll see how that goes. I think Beth will give us a more detailed update. And he commented that we've had an exceptional early registration for tour to Blueberry during February. We've had 236 people register already. So that's a result of everybody's hard work and Beth rolling out her scheme and getting people to sign up. So so far that's going really well. He said that he's increased the forecast that you use for budgeting for tutor to Blueberry from 400 people to 600 people, without any really increases to our club operating expenses. And his final point is, in summary, the club remains in an excellent financial position. I have the documents, and I think, Wayne, you're going to put them on the share drive.
Yes.
Okay. I looked through them myself, and I'm not an accounting genius. It look pretty good to me.
Oh, Tony does a great job.
Yeah. It's really good. And I think like I said, when Beth is able to join, I think she is intending to give us a quick update. So I got to be honest with you, Wayne, I don't know how I managed to skip over the secretary report. So I'll turn it over to you if we're all happy with the treasurer report. I guess I was getting excited there.
Yeah, I have not transcribed the recording from January. So I need to do that, and then I'll email it out to everyone to check before we load it on the website.
Okay. I was just looking through my notes from the last one to see if anything jumped out.
Tyler was the big addition.
Yes, sir. He still is the big addition. We're happy to have you here, Tyler.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other updates, Wayne?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll turn it over to a topic we've been talking about, and I know Phil's been working really hard on, but that's the Ride Leader jersey. If you have any updates there, Mr. Phil.
Yes, I've got the map. It's about 50-60% done so far. So it's coming along good to put on the back of the Ride Leader jerseys. I did show it out at some people on the last Sunday's ride. But yeah, I think it's going to look good.
Do you know when they'll actually make one, or do they make a prototype, or what happens?
Yeah, once we get this map, we're going to bring the whole design to the board to vote and have it approved. And then we're going to get Bill Wagner to help us with Primal to get it made. Get a six to 10 jerseys made, 6 jerseys, 10 jerseys, something like that.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Phil?
Can't wait to see that jersey.
Yeah.
So some of the old business from the last meeting, we talked a little bit about the insurance, and I think we feel like that's as squared away as it will be. It's not a lot of action there. I think there's some questions about the coverage, but I think that's all squared away. And under the new business section, I just jotted these down because when we're out riding, it's funny what people will tell you. And for some reason, when I was out the other day, somebody asked me about when we might have bike jerseys for 2023, and they asked me if there would be a new layout, I guess, not color changes or anything like that, but will it be different than the ones we've done in the last couple of years? And in the same token, they asked if there would be jerseys specific to women, and you know what? That's completely out of Mark J's league, so I don't know the answer to that. And so there was some discussion about should we get a group of people, a committee, to look at the jersey and come up with again, not a color change, but maybe a different type of layout and something for women. So I just wanted to throw that out there and see what the team thought. I think I can think that I would absolutely nominate the person that cornered me on this to be in charge of the coming up with a scheme. It was actually Bear's wife, but then I've had a couple of other people say the same thing to me. So I'm curious what everybody thinks about that.
As I recall, the last time we ordered jerseys, that Bill ordered jerseys, that all the jerseys were the same, but they had women's sizes. And I don't think he didn't get a lot of takers on that, as I recall.
Might be right. Might be right. And I'm probably the last person to decide what a lady would or wouldn't wear, but she talked about one without sleeves. Have you seen white jerseys without sleeves?
Yeah. Also, women's jerseys are usually shorter too, because their torso is not as long a lot of times. So
yeah.
You know.
I think we had four jerseys. We had regular cut and race cut men's and women's. So there was 4 offered, and we had to have 10 of each to make an order. I think that was kind of the thing we were looking at. So if you bring in
one thing that we're learning from this Ride Leader jersey is their website can accept the design, and you have to pay more per jersey if it's custom, but maybe that would be worth it to have a different design and a small order. It'll cost significantly more per jersey.
Guys, what we ought to do is ask the membership. These are the jerseys that we have that we're thinking about. The 4 that Phil mentioned, or maybe a 5th with a women's jersey, and say, are you willing to pay for it? And we'll order that many, but not order a whole bunch in advance and hope that people will like them. You need to get a commitment from somebody that, yes, I like that jersey, I want to buy it.
That's the way Bill handled it when he did it. He put everything out for sale, and then you had to go to the Primal website and actually buy it yourself, and he guaranteed them, like Phil said, a minimum, I think, of, what was it, Phil, 10 jerseys or something like that?
Yeah, it's so many per size, I think, or so many not per size, but per style. Men's race, men's regular, women's race, women's regular.
I don't know if it's still the case, but 2 years ago, Primal knocked it down to 5 for us for a different event. I don't know if they're still doing that, if they were just struggling, that particular year, but we might check with them and see. I know they offered us, we only had to get 5 of each. They had lowered their minimums. So maybe hopefully they're still that way.
I think there's 2 things here. There's that. So I personally, I'm very proud to wear the Fear Cyclists jersey that I have, the current style, but I've seen some of the members that have been with the club for years that have a different style or different color scheme that they're pretty cool. And I don't know if that's what's being asked. Can we do a different scheme? And then there's just the type. It seems like the scheme or the layout of the jersey would probably be the harder thing than figuring out whether somebody wants to buy one with no sleeves or fits one that fits my belly or a skinny lady or whatever. That the size piece seems like it would be pretty easy. And I think Bill Culpepper, or excuse me, Wagner, I think to Bill's point, I think he actually figures that out before we make an order. But I guess the ask is, should we nominate or have a committee to take a look at the jersey scheme and have a different scheme than the current one? I don't know if scheme's the right word. I know there's a lot of sensitivities around what that jersey looks like and that it has the correct colors and all of that in it for good reason. But should we have somebody try to put together a group of people that would be willing to take a look and make suggestions for 2023 jersey model?
I think
Well,
it-
That's a great
in the
idea.
absence there of anybody talking, I would volunteer.
Okay. All
I
right.
think it'd be well advised to have a committee. Because, over the years, in these board meetings, I've seen hours devoted to, what the colors are, what the pattern is, so on like that. So a committee to narrow it down is just the ideal idea. And thank you, Sandy.
Yeah.
I guess the
I love
question would
Jersey.
be if we, I've been in the club now 7 years, and I think the jersey style was changed right before I got here. So if this jersey style has been there 7 years, then, and I know there's at least four other jersey styles I've seen. I don't know what the time frame is on when the jerseys were changed. If there was a way we could find that out, if it was every 3 years or every 5 years that they came up with a new style.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to join Sandy on a jersey committee because I think it'd be nice to have a new style at some point. I've had people tell me that. Nothing fancy, but a little different might be nice.
Yeah,
Maybe more
I-
colorful.
Keeping with the same theme, it looked the same. You'd know it was a Cape Fear, but maybe different. Different, a little more color, something like you said, Kitty.
just-
Because I'm the historian, I'll give you a little background on it. Because the bylaws, state the club colors of gold, white, and red or something like that. The jerseys prior to the current one were always gold, white, and red. And the style didn't change too much, but they were quite visible. And then you had to change to the current style and colors. I would suggest maybe to the committee of two now, go back and look at the old style and maybe have sort of a retro, because there seems to be a lot of excitement about retro now.
Mhm.
Maybe looking, bringing back the original jersey or whatever.
Sandy, do you have one of the old ones?
No, I do not.
Does anybody here have one?
I have one.
You have one, Al?
Yeah,
Maybe could you send a picture of it or something, just so I could get a
sure,
good?
absolutely.
That'd be great.
It was basically gold and red and white. And I think about the only thing that changed maybe over 10 years was what was on the shoulders.
Hmm.
And that, a lot of that had to do with when we went from being from when Cape Fear Sorba broke off from the main club. So, but yeah, I'd be very happy to. Matter of fact, I'll adopt the highway. I'll bring one.
Okay, be cool.
I just scanned the Primal website
Mhm.
for the women's jerseys, and there were no sleeveless jerseys pictured on the whole Primal, on their standard website stuff. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Tyler, there's pictures of the old jersey on the Facebook page, the Cape Fear Cyclists Facebook page,
Oh,
and
yeah?
on the website. You can see pictures in the gallery of the old
Okay.
jersey.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen somebody on a ride with like a gold looking Cape Fear jersey and,
I love the retro idea too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or
Well,
they-
I guess,
I'll bring a jersey to adopt the highway on
Okay.
Saturday.
so it sounds like Sandy and Tyler are gonna take the lead on this, and I guess I'd suggest if you can find a lady or two to join
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
discussion, that might be helpful.
Yeah, maybe rope Liz in and, heck,
Yeah, Liz.
my wife Diane is a graphic designer. She could probably help too, but I mean, we don't-
Wow, yeah.
I'm not saying we change it, but I'm just saying, get some buy-in. There you go, get some buy-in.
Yeah, so it probably won't surprise you to hear me say this, but every time I've seen the jersey I see regularly is on one person, that's Paul Lepishek. He's got an older Cape Fear jersey that's, I think it's, instead of having a white background, I think it's might be black, but it's pretty cool. I mean,
Oh, it's black.
I
Oh,
think so. I can't remember. I think so. But every time I see him wear it, I'm like, man, where'd you get that? So, okay. And then I guess the only, with that, the only other new businesses, and I think, Bill, you must have done this, but the website had quite a extensive notice on the opening page about the COVID rules, and I don't think it's on there anymore. And
No,
so,
we took that down. We talked about that, you and I and Phil. And we decided to take that down because we're not abiding by it anyway.
yeah. So Tyler and Phil, I think what I kind of scanned through some of the calendar invitations or descriptions, and it's still some of them still have a link to the COVID rules. So I think we
Okay.
can just eliminate those
yeah,
going forward.
fix them. Every time we change them, I'll just take that out. That and the, you don't need to bring your own waiver form. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, is there any other new business anybody wants to bring up before we move on to the committee reports?
Oh, we doing new business first? Okay. So, Laura, are you there? Gloria?
I sure
Hello,
am. Can
Gloria.
you hear me?
In the past, we've rented a portable sound system for the two annual meetings. And at each one of those, it cost about between $90 and $100 to do that. And there's a thought that I had that why don't we just go out and buy ourselves a little portable sound system for about $90 or $100,
Yeah.
and then have it available for, after we have two meetings, we've saved we've recouped our money, and we could use it at, I don't know, Blueberry or whatever, other places too. There's several different ones out there for $100 that are, well, maybe a little bit more, 150, but they're not like, I mean, there's some for $500 and $600, but we don't want that. So just throw that out to see if there's any discussion on it.
No, I'd
Good
be all
idea.
for it.
Sure.
Sounds like a great idea.
We may not
Are we,
pull it off by the, when's the spring meeting, Gloria?
Well, we're going to talk about that because actually the date of May 7th was taken at River Lights. But
Okay, so it's
it's
at
in May.
least
We might have more time.
be in May. Okay. If you want me to, I'll look into that and then text people on the board what I found. Shall I go look for it?
Sure.
yes,
Sure.
Mhm.
I'm all for it.
Me
Okay.
too. Me too. I'm on the same page.
So some of the things I want to find is I want to make sure we can Bluetooth to it from a phone so we can play some music in the background if we want. Most of them have that, and they actually have radios in them. And
I believe we're,
are we particular about whether it's a wired mic or a wireless mic? Any thoughts on that? I mean, either one works for us. It doesn't matter really. Wired mics are cheaper.
yeah, you're not passing a mic out into the crowd, so I don't think you'd need wireless.
Yeah.
Wayne raised his hand.
I I think the FM wireless mics are very expensive, but there might be a Bluetooth mic version that you could find that would be less expensive, probably not as good sound quality.
Yeah. I'll take a look and see what's available.
But
I had
I
a
think it
question.
might be too much, it might add to the cost a lot to have a wireless mic. That I think is a couple of $100.
Yeah, we don't need wireless, I don't think.
I had a question. We're also renting a sound system for the Tour de Blueberry, so that would be 3 events a year. So that might up the quality we could afford to spend if we're renting 3 times a year.
Okay. Beth, I see you're there.
Yeah,
Do you rent a pretty big sound system?
So yes, the Full Send folks bring a pretty big sound system with multiple speakers and soundboard and all that jazz.
But that's not something that we pay for or rent, is it? No.
No,
Okay.
it's included in their fee.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
Bill,
'cause
what I hear you say is that for our 2 events, excluding Tour de Blueberry, we spend $200 a time, and you can get some. So $400 a year. If we bought something, it probably costs us $250. You're thinking?
Oh, probably less than that.
Yeah. Well,
I'm looking at 150, 175 is, there's some pretty nice ones out there for that with 2 microphones. So,
yeah. So you're gonna research and get back to the board, and seems like a slam
Yes.
dunk to me, but saves the club money over
Yep.
time. So that's awesome.
okay.
All right. Hey, Wayne.
I make a motion that we authorize $200 for a sound system.
I second it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Is there any other new business before we shift on to the committee reports?
We have to vote on that motion.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Sorry about that. That's it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye, yeah.
Aye.
Nobody opposed? Okay, great. I'm learning
Thank
these
you.
little things slowly but surely. Okay, I know Beth, you're on a tight time frame, so we'll just start with you and the Tour de Blueberry.
All
And
right.
anything else you need to talk about?
Nope, it's all Tour de Blueberry right now. We have 82 days to go until the Tour de Blueberry. We have 264 registrations. We've according to Run Sign Up, we've brought in $17,360 for registrations. We have $1,685 in donations that go to wherever we want to send those donations. Right now, my numbers show that we have 173 non-members signed up for the tour. We have 91 members signed up for the tour. We have for the ride distances, I've been checking those out. The most people, 123 people, are doing the 33 miler. But we do have 83 signed up for the 66 miler. So that's exciting. I think that's already more than we had last year for that distance. So that's exciting. And that's really all I have. I think there's going to be a series of emails that go out in the next couple of weeks, calling for volunteers, announcing our food trucks, and that kind of thing. But really, we're just kind of we're rolling. I mean, I'm super excited that we've already reached, 262 people. So it's really great.
Hey, Beth,
Is that faster
is it-
than normal? Do you feel like it's trending Better than the history or?
So last year, let me double check. Let me see if I can find. Oh, I can't find that graphic. It does run sign up will show me a map of like what we were doing this year compared to last year. I haven't pulled that one up. Don't look at that one. That's not part of my dashboard, but I can look it up. I do think that we are ahead. And I think it's because for the members, we gave that $10 discount through February, and we had that low price, set through February, and then we switched it over. And I think that, got people to hustle and sign up.
Cool.
Hey, Beth, is it normal to have more non-club members than club members?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Because we are pulling from people from not just our club, we're pulling from all sorts of clubs all over North Carolina.
Well,
I was excited. I did go do the North Carolina Bike Club's spring rally yesterday. So I learned a couple of tips. One is to know how to change a flat. Which I did, but I did not have the right tool for my new bike. So also I learned that. I also learned to put the SAG wagon number on every single piece of paper and every piece of media that we send out on the day of, because we could not find the SAG number. It wasn't on the cue sheet. It wasn't on the website. So anyway, so that was interesting to learn. And then so we have a couple of other ideas. I have two requests, and one is, or just kind of putting it out there, I'm actually thinking about looking for a photographer who will go out on course that we don't have to pay for, that will sell photos at the end of the event. There are quite a few, event photographers who are out there, and I think they've got some really fun action shots. It might be something that would help us build our event. And then we are looking for a new place to do our packet pickup. Bike cycles, nor two-wheeler, really none of the bike shops in town are big enough anymore for us to do our packet pickups. So yeah, Charlie knows, he was there last year. So we are looking for a possibility of doing it at a brewery. And so if anybody has a connection with a brewery in town, Kitty, I'm suddenly thinking of you, but someplace in town that we could maybe have our stuff set up, and that would be conducive to a big crowd of 600 people coming to pick up their packets. So
if you send me the date and time for packet pickup, I will have a conversation with my son.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Beth, I have one quick question.
Sure.
When people are signing up, they have the option to also become club members. Is that correct?
They did, until it got really complicated.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
I need to talk to you. I'll call you this week because I had to manually add some members or extend their expiration dates. So I will get to you with that list, but we took that off because there were people who were buying memberships who already have like a 3-year membership or a 1 year. They already had a 1-year membership. So in order to keep the confusion at a minimum, we just took that question off.
Okay.
We're
Yeah,
going to
thank you.
provide a link to the site that will let them sign up after they register for the event.
I think that's better. I had to sort a little bit of that out. It wasn't a big deal, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Wayne, did you have a question?
I do have a question. The SAG phone number, is that Bill's phone number? He's shaking his head no.
I
what
think
will we
last
use?
year it was it Al's last year or was it Bill's?
And no, we did it with the Hampstead Hams.
Yes.
Remember, they
So-
were the central point.
Yeah, so I think
Okay.
do the same thing. I think it was actually, that's right. I think it was one of their numbers. It was their main contact. So
Yes.
that's what we'll do again.
Yeah, back,
Yeah.
back there at the school.
Okay.
And then, they would contact us. And I think that's the only way to go. There's no
Yeah.
good to have, like Bill or me, have our numbers there.
Right.
We may or may not be in contact at any given point.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying that.
All right. Does
All
anybody have any other questions for Beth? I'd just say thank you, Beth. I mean, it's amazing what you're doing, pulling all this together. And, I guess I got a taste of volunteering last year, and I'll do whatever you need me to do this year, but including whatever help you need, just yell. And I think
Okay,
everybody
thank
else
you.
will too. Okay.
Right.
Anything else for Beth?
No, I just want to second what you just said. It just so does this year after year and does such a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you.
All righty. Katie, I just want to make sure, you said you want to go last, is that all right?
No, I was just not going to be here at the start, so I didn't want you to put me on
Okay,
the
gotcha.
schedule for like first or second, but it worked out fine. I was at a class and had to bug and get here. So whenever you want me to bump in, I will.
Okay, well, I think maybe, I think when I was looking at the report from Eileen and from Al, and I know you're part of Terry Benji, I think maybe if we switch to Al, Eileen, Kitty, if you will, for public relations, Terry Benji, advocacy, and the other thing I didn't mention, I'm so thankful that Al's taken on the historian role. I know he's been really working hard on that, and I've seen some pretty cool stuff come out from it. But maybe I start with you, Al, and we'll just kind of get through the Eileen and Al and Kitty stuff, and you can wrap up with historian if that works for you.
Works for me.
Sent my report out. I'm not gonna belabor going through all that. I just would encourage people to read it. But, one of the main functions of Cape Fear Cyclists and the Benji Foundation is advocacy. And, I think the main thing, or the most interesting thing coming up is our meeting with Chad Kimes, who is the chief engineer of the Division 3 of NCDOT, to talk to him about some kind of mid-range and long-range, some could say, ideas, some could say dreams of things that would make it even better. So I would encourage you to, read the report that I submitted and that Eileen submitted, about that meeting. And that's going to be this Thursday morning. The Adopt the Highway, I think, is kind of the big thing. I'm hoping that as many people as possible will come out, because this will be the club's 35th continuous year that we've been participants, partners in the Adopt the Highway program. And there are only 27 organizations in all of North Carolina that have done that. I have thought that we were the only one in the 6-county region, but I just learned this morning that Bob King Auto is still one of the other original participants. The program started in 1988. Cape Fear Cyclists and Bob King Auto were original participants, and we are the only ones that are still, if you will, participating 35 years later. It's going to be a little bit different than the normal Adopt the Highway, and we'll still show up at 8 o'clock, do the pickup. One of the things that has made us so successful is that we do the pickup in 45 minutes or less sometimes. And then we meet at the park, and for a long time, we had refreshments and so on like that. But then this board decided last year that people really weren't that interested in the refreshments. They wanted to get out on the ride. Because we're going to have some ceremony here, the presentation from NCDOT of our two 35-year stars, and then have a letter of commendation from NCDOT. There's going to be a little bit of ceremony, so we're going to bring the refreshments back. So if you're looking to finish the pickup and immediately jump on your bicycle, it's not going to happen this time. This is going to be the only time it's going to be a little different, but we'll have about a 20 or 30-minute kind of ceremony, if you will, and then the rides will start. I know Kitty needs to talk about a bike safety event that she's got coming up, at I think noon that day. So we're hoping that the Adopt the Highway participants, some of them will still have enough energy to go ahead and help Kitty out with her bike safety event at 1 o'clock. The only other thing, again, I encourage everybody to read Eileen's report. It's very thorough, lots of good stuff, advocacy, why is going there. But the only other thing I had was on the history. I guess because I've been around for so long, I was selected as a historian, and we have a club history, from its beginning up to 2012, but there is a huge gap from then of 11 years to 2023, and I don't have the energy, right at the beginning to go all the way back and reconstruct all those 11 years. So I took the easiest course. I did a history for last year. I talked to Mark about it. The previous historian, David Stabler, did an incredible job. I couldn't begin to do the job he did. It's a wonderful narrative. If you are a board member, I encourage you to read that. It just gives you so much ideas about what's gone before. But I don't have the I guess the talent or the energy to write that kind of a narrative. And so I talked to Mark, and so the 2022 is where I started, and it's a kind of a bulletized thing. I sent that out to everybody. It's a copy. It's attached to both my email to the board for this meeting, and it's also on the shared drive. So take a look at it if you got anything to add, but that's going to be kind of the model for putting this together and filling the gap for 11 years. And that's all I have, unless there are any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Al? I got an ask for you, and I'm not sure exactly how to do this, but as you know, the company I work for is building the new military bypass or military cutoff bypass from Market to 140, and where it connects into 140 is where the Hampstead bypass will take off and be built in future years. But one of the things I'd be curious to understand from Chad is how come the piece that we're building has a multi-use path when it would be fabulous to carry that multi-use path all the way out through the Hampstead bypass to where it ties into 17 again near Topsail High School. If you think about extending a multi-use path out that far and the access it would give to walkers and cyclists, I just cannot figure out why they didn't carry it out further. Fact is on our project, it doesn't even go all the way out to 140. It stops. You'll see it when it opens up. It stops where I believe Murrayville Road at one point in the future will actually cross the military cutoff bypass, and it stops right there for some reason.
Yeah, I'm sort of familiar with that. If you, that would be something, that'd be a great topic for Eileen and I to bring up with Chad Kimes, and I think that's what you're hitting at. He'd know I'd have a different motivation if I brought it up in front of him, because there's still another contract to go after. I mean, like a lot of things that are going on with bike ped facilities, it's really, really encouraging. It's so much better than it was 5 years ago. We're
Oh my
seeing,
gosh.
and again, this term multiple use, use SPAS, I can't even begin to say it. Let's just call them MUPs.
Yeah.
But MUPs are showing up all over the place, and but they're not continuous, and they're disconnects. And yeah, if you could just send me something that I can talk reasonably intelligently with Chad about, hey, it goes this far, Chad. What would it take to make it go the rest of the way?
I will do that. I will send you a note on that. Does anybody have anything? Oh, Wayne?
Yeah, related to that, at Holly Shelter, there's going to be a multi-use path that goes to Topsail Island. So if that bypass, I think it's close to Holly Shelter and the Lowe's in Hampstead, that would make it a great ride from Wilmington to Topsail Island.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really neat. Right now, of course, the feasibility study we just wrapped up on the East Coast Greenway 20, Highway 210, Holly Shelter to Surf City, and they have a recommended route. I'll take a look at that and see what it would take to connect that to the bypass. I think that might be a bridge too far, but worth taking a look at.
Okay. Any other questions for Al? Well, I just want to say thank you, Al. I mean, in the background, the workouts and Eileen have done on this, our 35th anniversary Adopt Ohio event has been really amazing, in addition to everything they're doing with public relations and advocating for more cycling, safe cycling throughout the areas. To me, is amazing. The information that gets sent out periodically from the two of them is super helpful, and kind of opens my eyes to the things that they're doing. So I just want to say thank you very much. And if Eileen was here, I would say the same to her.
Well, I think it's kind of a nice partnership between the Benji Foundation and the Fear Cyclists. Fear Cyclists, an important role in advocacy and so on like that. And do we ever leverage the idea, the fact that we have this many members, when we're talking to any sort of legislators or whatever like that, or to DOT, but that gives the opportunity to Fear Cyclists to focus primarily on the bicycling, the rides and so on like that. Whereas Benji Foundation can focus on the advocacy part. They're linked together, but I think it's a matter of where lies.
All right. Well, Al, thank you so much. Kitty, I'll get to you in a second, because I know you have some really exciting things going on, and I'm excited about that stuff. But I'll hit with Mr. Culpepper on the website, webmaster. Peace. I think you're on mute there, Mr. Bill.
There we go. Just very quickly, the count for the first quarter of this year is 82 more member logins than last quarter. We had 84 for the month of March. And I don't really have much else to say.
I'm guessing 80 of those was me and Tyler and Phil trying to figure out the.
Well, no, it's interesting. I'm going to try to figure out. I can get a list of all the logins, and it's like 73 pages long. There's a whole ton of people, or not. I don't know if it's actually people or just random, what they call web bots out, just jumping all over websites. that don't log in. There's just hundreds and hundreds of very quick, less than a minute people that have touched the web or things or whatever that have touched the website. I guess I could ask Club Express to tell me about that. But I went and tried to take a few, at least back in January, and this is maybe just me, but there's a whole bunch of names that I don't recognize. It's like people that I don't ride with, that I don't hear about, that are logging on to the website. And yeah, Mark, you're you're there a lot, and so is Phil. So
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know whether y'all want me to go after it. There's probably Google has a whole data series that you can attach to a website, and they can do all kinds of who visited what page and all kinds. It's really detailed stuff if we ever want to fool with it. I don't know whether we need to or not.
Bill, a lot of that is there are web crawlers that they're just mapping the internet.
Yes, I agree. That's what I think it is.
That's primarily what it is, I'm sure.
I agree, Sue. I think that's what it is.
Hmm. Would it register if people are looking on their cell phone, for example, or do you have to actually literally log in?
Club Express doesn't provide that. I can ask them. Google, you can add stuff from Google that their SEO stuff that would tell us more detail. But like I say, I just don't know if we just could bury ourselves in data.
Yeah. I'm already buried enough as it is. I'm not sure more data would help me.
Totally.
That's it.
Okay, well, I'll shift over to Sandy, which for membership, and I'll also say that I think it goes without saying the Slack thing is just taken off like crazy, and everybody seems to love that.
Yes, that's all anybody wants. They join the club to use Slack. Let me. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
In the light blue there, just at the bottom of that, what has happened in 2023 since 2022? And the active members in the club proper are up 10, and the Slack numbers are up 13. But we had a big jump in the Slack numbers last year, 78. And again, just anecdotally, when someone joins, the first thing they do is they say, "How do I get onto Slack?" And what I try to do as soon as I get the new member, I send them out the invitation. So it's try to do it the same day. And I think that's it.
Nice.
Yeah, it seems like it's super popular, and I think now that I'm used to it, I use it constantly to see what's going on and
Yep.
communicate with everybody. So it's a good deal. I've heard nothing but positive things about it.
Mhm.
Make sure you look at the things that are for sale on Slack.
They're all too big for me, buddy. I can't wear a size 10 shoe. I promise you that.
Does anybody have any questions for Sandy? All right, I'll switch over to Gloria, which I think she's on her cell phone, juggling two things at a time.
Pretty much all the time. So, well, first of all, I think our first order of business is actually to talk about the social in May and the date. It was originally planned to be on May 7th. It's Sunday before Mother's Day, but Sandy was following up with me to get a reservation at River Lights again, and they actually have that date booked. So I'd like to propose that we have it the Sunday after Mother's Day. I guess that would be May 21st.
Would that be the 14th? That's 2 weeks, right? You
Well,
said May 7th?
Right. Yeah, I think Mother's Day is May 14th,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
and then, yeah, one more week. Assuming that date is available.
Yeah, we should, not to interrupt, but we should give River Lights a couple of ideas because they're not all that crazy about telling us what's open. So we should try to get ahead of that by saying, are any of these okay? And are they, excuse me, are they available?
That makes sense. Of course, the next weekend, I guess we'd fall into Memorial Day weekend, but I don't know if we'd be interested in having it earlier in the day, like more of a luncheon. That's what I saw by the email, Sandy, that's what they suggested for the
Yep.
7th, having it earlier.
Yeah, that's an option
So,
too.
right, maybe by a second choice, May 7th from 1 to 4.
So do you talk directly with River Lights, Gloria?
I do.
Oh, okay.
You have to be an owner in River Lights to rent it.
Okay. So Mother's Day would be out. I gotta look at my calendar real quick.
Yeah, and the trouble with the next weekend is it's Memorial Day.
So maybe we could give 3 options for River Lights in priority of May 21st from 4 to 7, or May 7th from 1 to 4, or May 21st from 1 to 4.
Do we want to have it on Sundays? Saturdays are out?
It seems like a Saturday would interfere too much with the club ride.
Well, there's a club ride on Sunday morning too.
Right. Seems like, well, but the ones on Saturday are often out in the, out in the
Yeah.
country or something, so a little bit more of a drive.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I guess like a Saturday 4 to 7 is a possibility too. People might be a little bit more busy on Saturdays. That could be maybe a 4th option. May 8th from 4 to 7.
I think Saturdays would be a tough sell, but I'm not sure. A lot of people are doing stuff, but I don't know, does anybody else have a thought on that?
Yeah, I would prioritize Sunday. Saturday would be, I agree with you. Saturday would be a tough sell.
So I guess what we need to do, Bill, is get Paul Lipashek to change his Sunday ride route and start a little later and make sure it goes goes to the event and back.
That's it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Or Bear could have a ride too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think my feeling is let's give those 3 options a try and see if we have any luck on them. I think maybe if we do the 1 to 4 event, I know Bill and Phil, you might have thoughts on this, but right, I think the Sunday ride starts at 8 and we get over a little earlier than a 9 o'clock start. So
Well, the Sunday ride is still set for 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
is it 9? Okay.
Yeah. The only ride that has actually switched for real is Saturday morning. It's at 8. Everything else is still at 9.
Yeah, I feel like I can vouch for when we left to go to last Saturday's ride, it was still dark out.
Oh.
Yeah, I messed that up. It was dark.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe once we find out more, if one of those 1 to 4 options turns out to be the ideal solution, then maybe we could consider starting that Sunday ride earlier, just as a special deal. Or there's still time to get done and go.
I think there's time. There's time in there. If you finish right at noon and make this event at 2 o'clock, if it starts at 1, you get there at 2. I think plenty of time.
Yeah. So are we in
Okay.
agreement? We'll try those three and see which one we can settle on and plan around that.
Yes,
good.
that really makes a lot of sense. The only question I have is whether we're really gonna have until 4 PM or we have to be long gone by 4 PM. But I'll find out as soon as I get into contact with them again.
But-
Okay.
Are we agreeing we'll try May 21st from 4 to 7 first?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good. Well, thank you. Then I'll just move on quickly just to tell you the plans for the social. So obviously it'll be at River Lights again because it is really a great venue in case it rains. We have restroom facilities right there. In terms of the cost, we have a cleaning fee of $50 and then it's still $75 an hour. So that makes it $225. I thought this year, instead of a food truck, I contacted the Smokehouse. It's a great place in Leland and their brisket is fantastic. And they quoted me a price to deliver it for 50 people along with some pulled chicken for less than $700. They're going to let me know if they could provide sterno as well to keep it warm. So then we would have like a main course of meat. And then I'd like to propose that we ask members to, we'll make it a potluck and people can bring a favorite, appetizer, side dish or dessert, vegetable to complement that. And then the club would still provide beverages like we have been in the past. People would bring their own adult beverages if they like. And then part of that too will be, part of that too, we'll need some tables, like 3 to 4 tables. I'd probably ask the board members or other club members if they could volunteer to bring a table. I would need to pick up just the paper supplies, tablecloths, some good quality paper plates, utensils and napkins and cups. And then of course ice, and ask people to volunteer to bring coolers for the ice and also to keep the beverages we bring cold, just like before. Something I'd like to add new this time is to have a raffle, just to, add some excitement. And I'd propose I would go to Bike Cycle and purchase a $50 gift card and ask them nicely if maybe they would like to contribute another 50. But I mean, if not, even $50 is nice for somebody to win in a raffle.
Sure.
It'd be sort of like a door prize. And I'd like to really see this advertised. I had in the first email that it's going to be a potluck, there's going to be a raffle, and the entree of the brisket and the pulled chicken, because I think that'll kind of fun, something different.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, me too.
So do we need
Okay,
to,
good.
I love the idea of the raffle, and I'd be willing to go to another bike shop. And I mean, if we could get a fun, I think that we could get those owners to give us a $25 or $50 gift certificate. I think they'd be willing to do that for our club.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to go
Okay.
ask and see and, have a multiple raffles.
Don't forget City Bikes, which is over in the forum now. Alan Tyndall owns City Bikes. And he's been really
Oh, great. I
accommodating.
didn't know that.
He's been really accommodating with donating things for the Cape Fear Triathlon Club, and he lets me use space there Tuesday nights. I've been teaching all winter in indoor bike training class / workout, and he's great about doing stuff.
Would you be willing to get a gift certificate from City Bikes then, since you're kind of nearby them?
Yeah, I absolutely, I can
Okay.
ask for sure.
And of course, unfortunately, I can't see anybody's faces on my phone. So could you tell me who that was?
Kitty, it's Kitty.
Kitty, thank you.
You bet. You bet.
And Beth, was that you that mentioned Bike
Yes,
Cycles?
yeah, I can I can do, yeah, I can go out. That was,
And I can go to two-wheeler dealer and get one, and we'll just see how we can do there with the amount.
So, and then
If
I
they
guess,
don't want to do,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if they don't want to donate, I think with the budget I have here for the event, I think I could probably still purchase something for $50. If they're not willing to contribute 25 or 50 themselves, so we have a reasonable gift card from each of the three clubs, I'm sorry, bike shops.
Okay. So I guess there's a, I mean, I think there's a couple things. One is it sounds like our first approach is to see if we can't get the bike shops to make a contribution, but if we need to, we give Gloria the approval to spend up to $50 for a raffle for the spring picnic. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Do we have to do a motion for that, or?
I think so, because we're spending possibility of spending money.
That's what I was wondering.
I mean, I would say that I would say that we don't have to vote on that because we
Yeah.
don't know like what amount we really need right now. I think
Okay.
that we could probably get by with, let's go ask for the raffle, and we have raised money to pay for this event, and so this just goes part of the budget. It's already in the budget.
Yeah, it's in a part of the budget would be a good answer.
Okay. Al, that's not coming through very clear.
Can you hear me now?
Hard, no, it's like you're muted.
No, I'm not muted.
No, we can hear you. I can hear you, but I can't hear you.
Okay.
There you
Oh,
go.
there you go. There you go.
Okay, no, it was just simply that the president, through the bylaws, the president has the authority to authorize expenditures up to $100. Doesn't take a board vote.
Perfect.
Okay, we're good to go.
There you go. We're in.
Right.
Okay, and then do we have to?
I'll also,
Oh, go ahead, Gloria.
oh, I'm sorry. Maybe we can say this. So I will also need to buy the paper products, and I'll just provide a receipt, and the water and the sodas as we've done in the past.
Okay. How's I? It wasn't visible to me the last times we've done this. Did Linda? Did she put together kind of a summary of what you thought the event would cost when we looked at it? Or the reason I'm asking is because we won't have another board meeting between now and the time this event happens. Right, the next board meeting's 5/22. So is there anything that this board needs to approve, or I guess one thing, whether or not we have to approve it, there is a budget that got approved for it. I mean, is it possible, Gloria, you could just kind of put together a quick summary of what you think the expenses for it will be, so we have some vision of how that's tracking towards the budget, and just send it around to the board members?
Sure. I mean, like, you mean after this, between now and, before May 1st or something?
Yeah. I realize there's
Yeah,
parts of it.
absolutely.
There's parts of it that you don't know, and but that's fine. But I think as long as we get halfway close, or we get somewhere close to what you think it'll cost, I think, is the board interested in knowing that?
I got a question. So first, Gloria, I've got 2 6-foot of those fold out tables. You mentioned something about needing those, and I may have access to an ice machine as well. I would just need a backup in the event that I get called out and can't make it. Somebody would just need to get the tables from me and maybe get the ice cooler, from me that morning or something. But anyway, as long as we got it. The other thing is we get all kinds of paper products with work, with catering, and we probably got 100 of those, packs of the plasticware. Now they don't all match. I don't know if you need matching. Just a thought that if you want me to start kind of as we get all these, but you know, if it's a cost thing, I mean, we have a ton of that stuff that just piles up that, you know, comes with catering on a regular basis, but I'll leave that up to you. It's just an option. If you want those plasticware packs or any of the paper products that we get all the time with catering. But like I said, they don't match. It may be, you know, all kinds of different combinations.
I don't think people care about that much, as long as it's sturdy and doesn't break while they're eating.
Yeah, no, it's it holds up for us. It's
Yeah,
but
and I'm sorry,
I'll start just kind of I'll start kind of collecting that stuff, you know, because a lot of it now is just piling up at work, you know, in our break room area, and then once it gets to a certain point, a lot of times it's just tossed out, which, you know, I hate to see. I'd love for it to go to a good use.
That was Charlie.
Yeah, that'd be great. So, thank you. So Charlie, so it's the utensils then in a napkin.
Yeah, and some
pack.
of it's
Okay.
really fancy, and some of it's just like Jimmy John's. You know, it like I said, it's all kinds of different combinations, and then we get a lot of plates and things as well. So I'll just start collecting it, and then I'll figure out a time you and I can get together, and I can show you what we have, and we'll keep collecting it, and probably wouldn't be any issue to get quite a bit.
Okay, that's perfect. Maybe we connect like towards the end of April, and then I can just fill the gaps in. I will also need some plastic tablecloths.
I don't have any of
for the
those.
tables, but those are pretty. Yeah, they're pretty cheap.
Charlie,
Okay,
just a
that's
quick
great.
note. Charlie, if you ever want to get rid of those,
Yeah,
the Good Shepherd Homeless Shelter would love to have them.
thank you. Yeah, I've got a lot. We get a lot because it comes with everything.
They would love to have them.
Yeah, and Gloria, if
Sorry,
I heard you say something about the sterno things, for some
Yeah.
strange reason, I have a bunch of those in my garage from some event that I don't need. So if they're gonna squeeze you for
Perfect.
those, let me know, I'll bring them.
Okay, because they didn't know if they even had any at the smokehouse.
Yeah, well, you can get them at Costco by a case, but and I think that's what happened. We had something at my house years ago, and I'm like tripping over those stupid things. So anyway, so it sounds like we have a plan, Gloria. Sounds like Sandy's going to get us a date that works best, and sounds like we've got bits and pieces pulling together for you. And I think if you need any help, reach out.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. You also you talked to me about a public service idea. Is that something you want to talk about today or not?
I'll just throw it out real quickly and see if there's interest, and then I would follow up with more detail.
Okay.
So this is, I have some friends back in Westchester, Pennsylvania that just noticed a lot of people throw away pretty much perfectly good bikes, leave them at the end of the driveway for their, trash pickup or whatever. So they started collecting those bikes. They found somebody that volunteered to fix them, and they would have like an annual or biannual event where they give them to children who could not afford to have a bike. So it's a really great cause. There's a lot of pieces to it though, because they obviously have, somebody that's going to volunteer to fix the bikes, but also get the parts for them and then store them until they have the event. And somebody also that would go along and collect bikes and ask for donations of, bikes that kids have outgrown. But it is a really nice deal because, again, it puts bikes in the hands of, kids and even adults that can enjoy biking when they, probably couldn't afford a bike. If Bob is interested in my pursuing this, I could have the person who is in charge of it maybe attend our board meeting and give an overview of it and just provide more specifics.
Okay. Did everybody understand what Gloria was talking about? And if you have any thoughts or comments, should we tease it out?
I didn't quite understand, Gloria. You you were talking about what was done in Pennsylvania, and there's someone that wants to do something similar here.
No. She hasn't volunteered. I just think it's a great idea to collect used bikes, fix them up, find somebody that would volunteer to fix them up, and then give them to people that are not able to afford a bike.
Well, that's
It would be,
basically
could be done
what,
at some kind of,
I'm sorry, that's basically what Dusty's doing at A Bike for Every Child here, here in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, he,
Actually,
oh, that's, okay.
and then he has, kids can come in and earn a bike. And by doing that, they work on a bike with Dusty. So they learn some bike maintenance. And there's a sliding fee scale for people that can afford to pay something for a bike. But yeah, his organization is a nonprofit, 501c3. He is an LCI. Cape Fear Cyclists paid for his training to be an LCI, and that's what he does. In the name of his business, his organization is called A Bike for Every Child.
yeah,
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, I'd encourage you, if you don't know Dusty or you don't know exactly what he's doing, is go pay him a visit, give him a shout, go pay him a visit and see exactly what he's doing. He got a grant. He was one of the first in the first group of grantees from the community fund from the sale of the hospital.
Huh. Maybe we could help with the supply side to get them donate used bikes, or encourage our members to donate used bikes to them.
Absolutely. I mean, we could connect with Dusty. I, would like to pull him back into the fold because he is an LCI. I know he's very busy with what he does and relatively new father. But he is an LCI and Cape Fear Cyclists paid for him to be an LCI. So, if we could get him involved in some capacity, that would be awesome. And, if we're able as Cape Fear Cyclists to help him out by parts donation, time donation, bike donation, I don't know, anything like that. But it certainly would be worthy for us to get behind because he does get bikes to kids that can't afford to buy bikes.
Yeah, I think probably the first thing to do would be, check with Dusty, see, does he have a problem with supply of, used bicycles? And as Kitty has said, the Benji Foundation, using funds that were raised by the Cape Fear Cyclists, we donated $4,000 to his former organization called Switching Gears, and now he's with Bike for Every Child to just buy bike repair equipment.
Well, I know you're right, Alan. During the pandemic, he had a really hard time getting bikes because, of course, everybody was hanging on to bikes because bike shops couldn't get bikes. I haven't talked to him recently to find out how it's going as far as him getting bikes in. But and I don't know if he's maybe utilizing some of the funds that he got from the grant from the community fund for bikes. I'm not sure, but it would be, it'd be good to have another conversation with Dusty and see.
Absolutely, just find out if he's got a supply problem.
Yeah, for sure.
I just took 2 bikes to him 2 weeks ago that a coworker brought to me, and he was very appreciative and said he could use more.
Oh, that's great, Shirley.
Now they were kids' bikes. I didn't ask him about adult bikes or anything like that, but definitely he said that he could use all I could bring him. So, and Gloria, I think it's a great idea. One of the things I think is just getting the word out more. This just happened to be a coworker that stopped me and said, because he knew I rode bikes. And he said, hey, do you know what I can do with these? His 2 girls went off to college, and he said they haven't used them in years. What should I do with them? I said, bring them to me. I know exactly where to take them. So I think most people just don't know where to take them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's primarily kids' bikes. It's not,
Yeah.
I mean, he certainly will take adult bikes because teenagers could use an adult bike. But, you know, as the name implies, a bike for every child. It tends to be more younger children.
Well, I know at one time he was fixing the adult bikes and then selling those
Yes,
to adults and using that money, you know, somehow back into his shop. So, but yeah, he needs supply, or he did. That's what he told me 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, I think we just get better at trying to get more to him. You know,
yeah.
I bought one from him once for a daughter.
There's also a place called Special Pedals
Right.
that I've donated a bike there, and they're the adult part of all this, if you ask me.
Well, they have a bike, they have their shop now, and the Benji Foundation donated money for them
Right.
to build their
Right.
shop. They're at the corner of Red Cross and Fourth.
I took a bike there.
And
Yeah.
they're looking for people to volunteer, like to come in to volunteer time to work on bikes. Because they do get donations, but they are selling new bikes also at Special.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, well, Gloria, I guess the action on that is, I mean, first of all, it sounds like a good idea, and it sounds like the board's motivated to try to figure out how to support Dusty and Bikes for Every Child. Is this next steps just to introduce you to him and chat with him a little bit about how the club might be able to better support him, or what's our next steps with that?
Well, I'd be willing to talk to him because I'm kicking off a advisory committee for safety and education, which I envision crossing over from both the Benji Foundation and Fear Cyclists. And as an LCI, I want to strongly encourage Dusty to join the committee.
Ah,
So if I talk to him about that, then that could be part of the conversation when I'm able to connect with Dusty, and I'm happy to do that.
okay.
And Gloria, if you want to come with and see the operation, coordinate it, meet Dusty, that would be awesome if you want to do that, and we could try to coordinate.
That'd be wonderful. I was going to share another idea for collecting more bikes is the Next Door portal. If people have that in their neighborhood,
Mhm.
people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Next Door, it's this neighborhood portal. And if I just put on there, we're looking for used bikes, I might come up with quite a few, especially if you're willing to pick them up.
Okay. Well, Gloria, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's it. I'll just, I'm really excited that there's already a couple of things in motion here.
Yeah, one of the things I had asked the board that's crossed my mind a little bit, and as our IT guru, Mr. Culpepper, you might have ideas on this, but I always wonder on our webpage if we shouldn't be advertising for organizations that we advocate for, even if it's just a logo and a link to their website. Like if this Bike for Every Child has a website, or if they don't, having contact information on our front page or something. I have looked at other cycling organizations outside of here, and I think maybe you belonged to one before you came here, but I've noticed that a number of them will advertise or have a logo and a link to other organizations. And I think my interest in that would be, is that how we would attract new members possibly? If somebody happens to see a logo on our site that might make them feel like they want to join us or something. Food for thought. I don't know that we can figure that out right now, but just toss it out there if, it's particularly for organizations that we support.
Can I just add something to that, Mark? Sometimes I've seen it where, on our jerseys, we could maybe have some of those organizational names on it too for some additional advertising.
Sure.
it would be extremely easy to implement that on our website. And we've already got, of course, the 2 bike shops. We have Sorba, logos. That'd be pretty easy to do. We could create a whole page of those things, organizations that we support or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that should be emphasized, that these are organizations that we are supporting. They're not sponsors that are
Right.
advertising on our site, but that would indicate to our members that they're doing something and their dues are supporting the community.
Okay. Well, I'm assuming that if we decided to do something on the website, this board would have to approve who that is. We'd have to agree that it's an organization we think is worthy of supporting, that sort of thing.
Okay, I make a motion that the organizations that we have supported by donating to can be listed on our website and linked from our website.
So all those in favor, or do we have to have a second on that?
Yes, second.
Sandy second it. Bill second. Bill?
I'm voting for it.
Okay, I'm voting for it too. That's cool. So
Yep.
Bill, can you do that, or do you need some help with it?
I can do all I need is the list.
Okay.
I need the list of the groups, and I can do all the rest.
I'll send you the list.
You have the list already?
Yeah, the list, yeah, because it was in the budget. There's a list of who we provided money for, who got money from the Tour de Blueberry last year. So that part's determined already.
That comes from Terry Benji though, doesn't it? That money?
No, yes, partly it does. It's the way the Tour de Blueberry funds have been distributed is that the Cape Fear Cyclists, donate or distribute the funds directly to those that help with the Tour de Blueberry ride itself. Then they give a set amount to the Benji Foundation. The Benji Foundation then distributes that to various organizations like a Bike for Every Child, like Switching Gears, like so and so like that. So I think if you're going to do it, you got to include both what Cape Fear Cyclists donate directly, and then also what Benji Foundation does with the funds that we receive from Cape Fear Cyclists.
I think that's a good idea. Al and Wayne, that if you could send me a list of those,
Sure.
I'll begin
Got
to
it.
work on that. And when I create that, I'll try to include text that indicates that the monies come from 2 separate organizations, and so I can highlight both organizations.
Yeah. No, I think it's a very good idea because it lets the club members know, where our club, where the Cape Fear Cyclists and where the Benji Foundation are supporting activities in our community. Some of them are not bicycle directly related, like the Sand Hills Baptist Church and so on like that. Cape Fear Cyclists donated to them simply because we did a rest stop there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But like the Hampstead Hams and the Penderley Fire Department, that sort of stuff. But it all shows that the club is supporting the community.
Okay.
Okay.
Just need a list. I'll start working on it.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, with that, we'll move to Kitty, who's got a lot of cool things going on, and I'm so excited because I actually stuck a bunch of those events on the calendar. About all it has, Kitty, is what it's called and to call you. So,
And that's fine. And, we can flesh out some of that if we want to add more details. That's fine with me, but people can reach out to me if they have questions. So I got like 3 pages of stuff here, guys. You probably aren't going to be happy that you saved me to last because I got a whole list of things to go through. So anyhow, events. Let's start with events. Many of you, I think probably all of you know Tammy Brown Swanson. She and I are really working closely together as far as education and safety under the Terry Benji Foundation auspices. And so Tammy is liaison on Safe Kids organization board. She worked with them prior to the pandemic, and they are now gearing back up. In the past, most of the bike rodeo requests that Tammy coordinated in the past with Bethel and some of the other LCIs, those primarily came from Safe Kids. So some of those are now starting to come through, and Tammy was at the most recent meeting, and a request came through from the Sheriff's Department, New Hanover County Sheriff's Department, to have an event on April 1st, which is the event that is this weekend. And Al referenced it the same day as the cleanup. Because the Sheriff's Department specifically requested our involvement, Tammy felt like she had to say yes. So this is being pulled together really quickly. It's Saturday, April 1st. It's going to be at Williston School, which is right here in town, on 10th and Ann Street, sponsored by the Sheriff's Department. They will have some individuals there. Sheriff Robert Henderson, or Deputy Robert Henderson, is the coordinator. He got a grant from somebody gave him money for like $4,000, and he went out and bought bikes and helmets. So for a group of kids, the kids that he's doing it for, they're going to get bikes. They're going to get bikes and helmets. And then, but they're also opening up to the kids from Williston School. Right now, we don't know.
Go first now.
Sorry. Did you have a question? Was that Bill? Anyhow, so that's this weekend, and it's noon to 4, but Tammy and I will be there prior to that to set up. So if you're done with the cleanup with the club and you're able to come by, we'd sure appreciate it, because I don't know how many people they're bringing, because the Sheriff's Department has another event that day. Anyhow, there's supposed to be a Wilmington police officer there, who's in part of a bike committee or a bike group. And that's primarily why I want to be there, because I want to make contact with Wilmington Police Department. So we have a contact with the Wilmington Police Department. So anyhow, that's first on the schedule. That's this Saturday, April 1st. If anybody can come, we sure would appreciate it. It's last minute. I'm sorry for that. Tammy gave a yes at the meeting, just because she felt like the contacts we were going to make were going to be really positive moving forward. Okay, so that's April 1st. April 6th, at the MLK Community Center, there's going to be a bike rodeo, and that's 401 South 8th Street here in town. They are envisioning between 20 and 30 kids. So we got helmets, and we'll have the trailer there, and they have to supply 3 to 4 volunteers. Tammy and I have come up with a contract for any organization that asks for a bike rodeo. And so we're going to, for the first time now, we're going to have organizations sign a contract with us, and that's going to be the Benji Foundation. So of what they agree to supply, that we come in as LCIs to oversee and basically run the bike rodeo. So that's on the calendar. It's April 6th. Again, if you're able to volunteer, just shoot me an email or a text. so I can get you the details. Oh, I got ahead of myself. There's one the day before, April 5th, in Pender County. It's in Burgaw, 600 North Timber Lane in Burgaw. This one is sponsored by Safe Kids. It's the week of the young child, so it's an outreach event in Burgaw. And 20 to 30 kids is what they estimate at that one. So we're going to set up a bike rodeo. That's a Wednesday, and it's going to be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, now we're getting into Bike Month, which is May. I'm kind of all over the place here, guys, so just bear with me, okay? So one of the reasons why I'm keen, and I've been trying to come up with a dedicated contact at Wilmington Police Department. May 17th is the National Ride of Silence. And the club has participated, had that event in the past, but again, with COVID, it stopped. Well, Tammy and I are bringing back the Ride of Silence, and that's going to be May 17th. Right now, we're planning on it at 6 o'clock, and we want a police escort. We don't want to do it just on the trail because we want to be able to garner publicity around bicycle safety. And so that will be May 17th here in town. More details will come, but however many riders we can get, but that will be, evidently it's going to be a route that was done in the past. So it'll leave from the parking lot on Independence, just up from Oleander, where the O2 is, and we'll leave from there. And Tammy and I will have the route all planned out, but it's to the college, some on the trail, some on the roads, and the turnaround is on campus at UNCW, and then we'll come back the same way. So to be,
Is that right across from the fire station there at Park and Independence?
it's just about to the fire station. It's the big parking lot where O2 is, and
Yeah.
and that's where, because there's a lot of parking there, and that'd be a good place to stage it from. And evidently that's where it was staged from in the past when it happened. But again, and that's something that we're hoping that we can get some really good media attention on, and prior to the ride and even during the ride. Yeah, Wayne.
I suggest that you coordinate this with the Flaming Amy's ride so that we support the ride for silence and we don't have a conflicting club ride.
Well, this is
few
a
miles
Wednesday
away.
night. It's a
The
Wednesday.
Flaming Amy's is Wednesday night
Yeah.
also.
Okay, well, we can
with
put
a-
it, we can put it out, and if people still want to do the Flaming Amy's ride as opposed to the Ride of Silence.
No, I'm strongly suggesting that we do not have a Flaming Amy's ride that.
Okay, all right, got it. Okay,
Because that would dilute the Ride of Silence.
right. No, I think that's a great idea. I think this is something that we can use to really publicize both of our organizations, in addition to highlighting safety and education and safe bike riding here in Wilmington. So I see a lot of benefit that can come from it after not having the ride for a number of years. So yeah, that's good. And I'll coordinate with Mark on that for that Wednesday ride on, how to handle that. So appreciate that.
So,
Wayne.
I was just curious, Tyler, what do you think about that? I mean, because I think we're gonna have to get more enticing details unless people know what the right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, absolutely. All these things, if you want them on our events page, I'm supposed to do that. So I need to know the information. I'm not keeping up with you as you throw this out here. So if you're going to send out
You want me to
But
send it all to you?
If you'd like this to be on an events page for Cape Fear Cyclists as a social event or a ride, then can you send that to me or?
I'll send it all to you. I'll
Okay.
do
Yeah, so
Put up and send it all to you.
so I actually put them on the calendar. They're all there.
Oh, they're
right
there.
now.
Okay.
But it's a name and it's like call Kitty for more information, basically.
He does
So
have more information then. I mean, otherwise, nobody's gonna latch onto it, I don't think.
mhm.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, so bike month, May being bike month, we're also trying to coordinate 2 bike to school events. I don't know if that's going to happen. We're working on it. One would be Pine Valley and one would be Carolina Beach, that we would have bike escorts for the kids in the morning, just the morning, to bike to school. So we're working on that. Don't have anything specific. Probably would need 10 cyclists for each school. And we would be on bikes. Again, these are things that used to be done, but they have gone by the wayside. Tammy used to do most of the coordinating in the past, and it just got to be too much for her to do it all herself. That stopped, and so they stopped, and then the pandemic. So now we're trying to get all these things off the ground again. So anyhow, event-wise, we are also doing the Wilmington Fire Department Junior Fire Academy. There'll be 2 different weeks this year. However, because they put so much into it the last 2 years for the bike riding safety skills part of it, we really only had about 35 minutes to do. Tammy and I made a decision that we are going to only make it a classroom education experience and not a bike riding experience. So it's going to happen. We'll still be able to use that as something that the club is sponsoring, but we don't need to have volunteers for it. But we can I'll definitely send the dates now that I have them, or I'm waiting for confirmation from my contact at the fire department. But it's another thing that we can highlight our community service activities. Okay, so I did mention that that I have formed a bicycle Terry Benji Foundation education committee, and what I want to let everybody on this board know, that if any of you would like to be a part of that committee, please let me know. And because we're forming the committee right now, and the first meeting was basically a planning meeting, will be Wednesday, the 12th of April in the afternoon. So if you have any interest, I don't need to take more time on that tonight, but let me know if you'd like to participate in that. Okay, the next thing is Monday, June 5th at 6 p.m. is going to be the first of a presentation to ride leaders. So it will be a short slide presentation, or however we want to call it. Tammy and I are working up 3 new community presentations, if you will. And we've talked about getting this up and going, and it's finally happening. So it's going to be at Girls with Dough, which is at River Lights, and Monday, June 5th at 6 p.m. And this is educational. So as we have talked in the past, I feel very strongly that anyone in the club that's a ride leader should go through. This is basically a trimmed down bike safety 101 geared just towards ride leaders. So it's going to pretty much cover lane placement, you know, current laws, things that ride leaders need to be cognizant of. And I mean, I know you're cognizant, but I think it's always good to go over what the laws are and what the current rules are. And so we're going to feed you, in addition to having a conversation. And the Terry Benji Foundation has already agreed to fund the educational endeavors that we're doing. So
How long does it last?
I don't know, you're going to be the first group. Sorry. I mean, with dinner and the presentation, I can't imagine it being much more than an hour and a half. That's the estimate right now. But, you know, we want it to be interactive, but we really want to go over safety, law, lane placement. Those are the biggest things.
Yeah, and how do we advertise it? Because I mean, I think I remember when I took Bike Safety 101 from you and Tammy, you talked to Phil and I about this.
Yeah.
And you know, I think we're supportive, obviously, but I don't know how other potential ride leaders would know about it. How do we get them to know about this?
Well, I guess put it on the calendar, put it on the website. It'll go out on our Facebook page. You said there's a lot of involvement in Slack. Let's use Slack to publicize these things also.
Okay.
And I admit,
So-
I have not been, I don't generally ride with the, you know, do any group rides. So I haven't really been on Slack, but I could certainly use Slack to talk about these things too.
Kitty, if you write something up to put on Slack, I could also send it out in an email to the members.
Okay. Okay. I can do that, Wayne.
And because I think it would be good to send, you're looking for volunteers for half a dozen events. So I think you're going to need to reach all the members in order to get enough people.
Yeah. I agree. Okay. I'll do that, Wayne. We can talk about that. So basically, I mean, rules of the road, etiquette, lane placement, group rides. That's going to be the focus of this first one. You're kind of a beta test group to see if there's more information you want. You know, but we want to start the conversation. We want to do it, you know, at least a couple times a year, because we think it's important that information gets out there, and just to reiterate what laws are and that kind of thing.
Excellent.
And we're also looking, I'm not going to put out any dates on Bike Safety 101, but we do have at least a date that we're working with as far as trying to get a confirmation of a location. And so we want to have a spring before summer really kicks in, a Bike Safety 101, and then we do another one in the fall. And that will publicize so we can open that up to the community also.
Awesome.
So does anybody have any questions? I know some of this information is a little sketchy at the moment, but you know, with your help, you know, I'll provide whatever information you want. Let me know what you want. We can get it out on Facebook page. We can get it out on Slack. We'll get it on the calendar, and try to get that information out, you know, to as many people as possible to, you know, let them know what we're doing, but really trying to kick safety and into gear.
Does anybody have any questions for Kitty? Kitty, I just say thank you for your hard work on this. I mean, it's pretty exciting to see these things and see them getting on the calendar. And I think maybe think maybe any way you can help us understand the best way to publicize it. Like, I know Tyler talked about the calendar invites, there's something on there. But if we can spruce it up and make it so somebody, it's when they look at it, it's attractive and they understand what it's about, that might help attract people. And if we have to advertise different ways, but appreciate your hard work on all this, because that's a lot. You did a lot.
Well, we've got, it's just, I just, it's a blessing to have Tammy back in the fold. And, Al could speak to that as much as me. So, the synergy created with the two of us is good. And, so we're trying to do as much as we can, but, we don't want to bite off too much also. Just because we don't want to overwhelm people, and I'm going to include Tammy and myself in overwhelming people. But I mean, there's a real need for it. So we're trying to do a framework, and we're also coming up with the work, behind the scenes, new slideshows, and things like that too. So we're trying to get as much done as we can. But I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, appreciate your hard work for sure. Okay. I don't think we have anybody that's representing road racing or time trials. I think that spot's open. I don't really have any comments on that, and unless somebody else has a thought on it, I'll switch to Charlie for.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Mhm.
One other thing, I was just looking at my notes. I would like to, this probably wouldn't need a motion, but for all of these bike rodeos that are coming up, the Benji Foundation has agreed to buy additional cones for setting up all of our bike rodeos. I would like to ask Cape Fear Cyclists to buy lights that we can distribute to children that come with their bikes. So they have lights on their bikes, because that's law in North Carolina. And we can get 192 lights at a website that Tammy and I found for $160. There'd probably be some cost for tax and shipping on top of that. But I would like to ask the board of Cape Fear Cyclists to pay for lights for kids, so we can then let everybody know where it's coming from, as a way to publicize our organization.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll put a motion on the table to allow Kitty, I don't know, I don't know what the taxes are on that, but if, say, somewhere around 160, 170 bucks to purchase lights for 192 or so lights for the kids. So put a motion out there to do that. Is any seconds or any comments?
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did have just a question though. Can you tell us, Kitty, a little bit more about the lights? I mean, they're battery powered. Are they,
Yes.
both front and back, or?
Yep, red and white lights. So they've got them for the rear and the front of the bike, and they're battery powered. Yeah, they're pretty inexpensive. They're the lights. They're the lights that have been given out in the past. That Tammy had some, and they're all gone. We've given them all out.
All right. Well, how about we vote? All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it sounds like we got her covered then, huh?
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Charlie, you want to hit on the off-road riding, and thanks again for getting some rides out there.
Yeah.
Out on the calendar.
Yeah, we trying, like I said on the last meeting, trying to at least get one a month, and get going there. And we got rained out yesterday with that weather that hit us yesterday. So, but we're doing good as far as getting stuff on the calendar, and then Tyler and Sandy, throwing some ad hoc rides, off-road rides has been a really big help too, get us some publicity as far as for the off-road stuff. So we're going to continue to move forward with that, and still trying to come up with, new ideas as far as also with the off-road stuff. And Wayne doesn't know this yet because I haven't had a chance to talk to him, but he actually gave me an idea, and I'm going to try to move forward on this. So when Wayne and I did a gravel ride, we talked about bird watching, and they do a lot of bird watching at Holly Shelter. So as you guys remember, I kind of tried to do a moonlight ride, and then that was when the fire happened and we couldn't do the moonlight ride. So I'm always trying to come up with new ways to incorporate the gravel riding. And so looking at trying to maybe incorporate some way that we can ride Holly Shelter out there, as well as some sort of bird watching expedition as well. So still trying to, to do that. We're going to get some more stuff on the calendar and keep moving forward with it. And one of the things in the last gravel ride, had some young guys come out that I had not seen before, which was really good. And they mainly came because, and I wanted to mention this. I know everybody, we're all mentioning this stuff to get on the calendar and promote and things like that. But there is a Holly Shelter gravel grinder, and I need to get this information to you, Tyler, and I will. That's July the 1st. And these guys actually came because they wanted to see kind of the roads and the route and everything. So I'm going to start also trying to incorporate that as motivation of maybe, kind of, training, see the Holly Shelter area, that type of thing for some of these folks that are taking part in that gravel grinder on July the 1st. It's got a short course of 32 miles and a long course of 54 miles. And then I want to mention this, that on their race website, in the distance, in the backdrop, is a gentleman with a Cape Fear Cyclist jersey. So our jersey is getting some publicity on the race website for the actual Holly Shelter gravel grinder. So last little thing I just want to mention is thanks again for putting the Cape Fear Sorba, the Ben Brown showdown, and I know, like I said, we're all promoting kind of our things, but would like if you guys can just get the word out, because that was for a gentleman that lost his battle to cancer. And Cape Fear Sorba, part of the money goes to the UNC Cancer Hospital, and then the other part goes to the Browns Creek Nature Park and a bike path there in Elizabethtown. So I think they're having a little trouble getting folks to sign up, like all events. So if you see somebody and they got a mountain bike and they ride off road, just send them to our website to look at the calendar, and that'll take them to the sign up. So just want to put another plug in for that, and that's April 22nd, that Ben Brown showdown.
Yeah, I think we have that on our calendar.
We do.
Sure.
We absolutely do. I was just saying, if you word of mouth, kick some people over there to also take a look at that for because for the cause. So that's all from the off-road side. I like, when it gets to me, this point of thing, I pedal fast, man. Pedal fast, get my get it out there. But,
are you gonna do the moonlight one? I mean, that
man, I want to. The problem is now with the time change, we got to start pretty late. So either that, or I'll throw this out and you guys can later comment on this, or we could start super early. We could do moonlight super early, and 4 or 5 a.m. and then ride in the moonlight and watch the sun come up. So
Bill's not up for that.
But yeah, I would love to, man. I would love to, because it is pretty spectacular to do a moonlight ride out there.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Charlie? Go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, Charlie, the Holly Shelter, that is Cape Fear Sorba event.
No. That's not a Sorba event. It's another group that's putting it on. You know what? I need to double check and see who, but it's not Sorba.
It isn't, huh? That's
No,
interesting. Okay.
No, Sorba only does mountain bike. They don't do the gravel bikes or promote, gravel bike races. They just do mountain bike races.
Okay. Well, I guess that gets down to the ride coordinator, and I know Tyler has taken that over. I don't know, Tyler, you have any thoughts you want to share or any words of wisdom?
No, just that the more information I get, the better I can make it. So, and I will try, I've got an action to remove the COVID policy and any reference to bringing any outdated stuff, so I'll do that. But I've got to figure it out. If you send me a note, I can put an event for you. So it's not a big deal.
Very cool. I had a list of third-party rides that I had intended to get on the calendar since January. So if you look on there, I put most of the ones I'm aware of, so that I put them on there so that in the future you can repeat them type of deal. So I appreciate you doing this, Tyler, and I know Phil, you're kind of helping too. So I appreciate you guys taking this over. It's a big deal. Yeah, you already. Does anybody have any questions for Tyler? Any comments?
I have a question just a quick question. This is a personal question for Charlie.
Yes, sir.
So what kind of equipment does it take to do the gravel rides?
Mountain bike. We've even had, if you have a hybrid bike that has a little bit, more of a wider tire, a little bigger tire, or an actual, gravel bike. Which, are you familiar with the gravel bikes?
Yeah, I have a Damani, and I've got 30 mil tires on it, but they don't have any knobs, right? They're road slicks.
They would, I think, most areas out there, you wouldn't want to take some of the secondary roads, that can be muddy and dirt and sand and that type of thing. But on the hard packed gravel, they'd be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. And Wayne, I happened to just look up, it's Transylvania Productions that's putting on the Holly Shelter gravel grinder. And I think they're an organization that puts on kind of events all over the state, if I'm not familiar or not. I'm not that familiar with them, but I think that they do.
Well, good luck to them. It's a good use of that area, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I thought it was kind of cool to pull up the site and see our jersey on there.
That is cool. Okay. I don't think there's anything to say about touring. Al, I'm assuming that you don't have anything else on historian. You've got your piece done. Thank you. And the apparel piece, I think we kind of talked about. Sandy and Tyler are gonna kind of head up a group and hopefully add a couple ladies to it to maybe talk about our jerseys. So with that, I think we're at the end of our board meeting. Does anybody have anything else in closing you want to talk about?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, I think in closing, I just want to say thank you to everybody. I recognize we all volunteered for this, and that's because we're passionate about cycling. And the amount of work that everybody's done in the first quarter of this year, just to keep things rolling and moving, I just think is fantastic. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for your hard work and commitment to the Fear Cyclists. And our next, outside of our social event coming up in May sometime, our next board meeting would be the 22nd of May. And I know I'll see quite a few of you on rides, but in the event that I don't see you, be safe riding and keep up the great work. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Thanks, Mark. Good
Good
night.
night.
Have a good evening. Bye.